Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Welcome to our 17th, possibly 18th. It's one of those numbers, episode of Good Times, where we catch up with each other and past guests and talk about anything related to Japan. So go ahead, pull up a bar stool and join Justin, Nathan, and myself for an episode of Good Times located at 31 Beer Stand in Hiroshima, Japan, brought to you by today's sponsor, Premium Boss Coffee Black. There's zero of everything except when it comes to flavor. Now, Good Times is always available through your favorite podcasting service. And if you already have followed the show on Patreon, I appreciate it because there's a free option. You don't have to spend anything. But if you are a member of Patreon, you'll be able to see a video version of today's show. I have been enjoying doing more video with our podcast. Did a recent interview with friend of the show, Steffi. That is audio only. We'll have it go back and forth, but we're having fun regardless of what it is. Along with those extra perks and knowing that you're helping my daughter and I towards our ticket to Japan. If someone wants to be very, very, I don't know what you would call it, magnanimous and wants to fly my daughter and I out to Japan by first class, I'm not going to stop you. And we'll send you a sticker, maybe two. So welcome back, everyone. I truly appreciate you all coming together today to finally do what we've talked about, which was talk about our rental family movie, which I did watch last night again. I don't know about you. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I had different feelings after watching it last night than I have previously, which sometimes happens the more you watch a movie. But Nathan, Justin, the soon to be purchasing t shirts for Nathan and I, how are you all doing?
Uh, I was doing better before I was notified I was purchasing T-shirts, but hey, happy to support the show.
I'm a double X, just in case you need to know. But I'm working
shoot,
on it.
I
Maybe I'll
don't
be XL by the next one of these.
think Mike makes them in double X. So
No, it's
Done.
it's triple X or nothing these days. But thank you both for hopping on today. We're chatting just a little bit about movies and subscriptions things. We'll get into that too. First things off, gentlemen, we'll just do our normal kind of what's been going on for us. Share whatever we want to share. And then we'll get into some talk about the movie. But we were talking just before you hopped on, and I was just telling Nathan, I saw a movie recently that I really, really enjoyed. It's called Still Walking. And I was kind of complaining that sometimes in streaming services now, the only way you can see a movie is through a streaming service. And I don't much mind that. You're going to be like, Mike, that's nothing new. But what I don't like is you go to a service that you normally can purchase a movie through or rent a movie through, even though by purchasing, you're not really owning it. But that's a whole different conversation. But it's where you look at the movie, you're like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'll rent this, buy this, whatever. I'll support. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you can watch this if you have AMC Plus. And I'm like, well, if I wanted AMC Plus, I would be on AMC Plus. So if you, but it is on Still Walking is on AMC Plus as well as Blood of Wolves, which is by the actor that does Perfect Days. Still Walking is not. I've not watched Blood of Wolves yet. It could be a horrible movie. I started to watch it with my daughter, and I stopped it pretty much immediately because they're out there. You have some yakuza group about to torture, but they're in with a bunch of pigs, and they're forcing this gentleman to eat something from the pig that's still alive and healthy and fine. And I was like, I guess we're not watching this. And that's when we flipped over to Still Walking, which was fantastic. I enjoyed the movie. I'm going to look for a physical copy. Don't know if there is one. That's been the limit of my free time, gentlemen, besides trying to fit other things in, but I'm taking photography classes because I'd like to be like Maurice one day and have my own photo book. And I am improving my photo skills. That's the good news. I still feel like I'm someone in high school, quality of level, and not the talented high school kid where you're like, man, you're going to go somewhere, but more the high school kid that's like, good for you, pat on the back. But I am working on it. I am coming along. I did have some fun photos. If we have some time, I'll show those off as well. But Justin, since your name is up first, apparently, in this document that I have here, you're going to be put on the spot first, and Nathan will have a little bit more time to think about what he wants to.
Fair enough. What are we putting me on the spot for?
Well, just what's been going on, my friend? Besides trying to earn money to purchase all the shirts that you're going to have to buy, what else
Yeah.
have you been doing in life?
Oh man. So I think last time we talked, I had just finished up. I'll call it a semester of Japanese tutoring. So I'm still there. That finished that up like a month or two ago. Honestly, have not been studying like I should be. Not a whole lot else going on. I actually just got back from a trip, what I always refer to as back home, where I grew up. Went and saw some family, and actually ended up finding a pretty cool little ramen bar in Rapid City, South Dakota, of all places, which I don't know if anyone's ever been to South Dakota, but everything there is tiny. So, to be able to find ramen place in South Dakota was kind of a surprise to me. Maybe I'm not giving my home enough credit, but uh, yeah, I ended up at a place called Bokujo Ramen. It's actually owned by a dude who I didn't know this until after I'd been there, but saw the like a sign, diners, drive-ins and dives. Is that the name of the show? Sign on the wall, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I guess the guy who owns it used to be on some Food Network show. So yeah, pretty good stuff. They have not one, not two, but three vegan ramen options, which is, I mean, talk about punching above their weight class because for a city the size of Rapid City, which is like 70, 80,000 people, to have a ramen place that has three vegan options, I don't have that where I live. And the city I'm in is like five or six, maybe seven times that big. So, um, that's pretty sweet. Have some regret. They had a little uh, bodega next door that had, oh gosh, the name just floated my head. Hitachino beer, which is a Japanese craft beer. Cannot find it where I live, but it's really good. And I should have bought some. And for whatever reason, like my better or worse angels were telling me, you don't need to buy beer. So I left with none. And now that I'm home, I'm like, that was a mistake. And I'm not driving 14 hours back to go get it.
I love it,
Yeah.
my friend. I know that you can have those regrets and purchases and things like that. Next time, just call me, message me, and ask Nathan or I what you should do because we will definitely support you in making poor decisions.
Yeah, I should have. What's funny is I took a picture, like when I went right next door to the bodega. I think they might have just opened that part. Is literally like the next door to the ramen place. And they had like a little deli counter in there that wasn't quite open yet. And they're going to be serving okonomiyaki. So, like, again, talk about punching above your weight class because I can't get okonomiyaki in Kansas City, and this place in Rapid City is going to have it. So that's pretty sweet.
Sounds like you might need a second home. That's with your residuals from your
Yeah,
previous life.
it it may have just gotten a lot easier for my parents to convince me to come see them.
love, love it, my friend. I love it. And I want to say before we get to Nathan here, because you're talking about foods, the Mitsuya that's by me in Arlington Heights, not all of us can have a Japanese market 35, 40 minutes away from them, but they had all things Hokkaido potato this weekend. So it was thicker French fries with the potatoes from Hokkaido. And then they had potato croquettes, which were fantastic. So it was all starch all the time for my daughter and I. And then they also had apple pies, little mini apple pies and strawberry tarts as well that were available using the apples and strawberries from Japan. That's like twice a year that happens. And I may have told my son, who doesn't listen to the show, that I had a tart available for him. and someone, most likely me, ate it before he got home. So it was not available. That would be the 3XL shirt that I currently need, and it was wonderful. The good news is, besides buying his normal Anpan man from the Japanese bakery, I also bought him a limited run matcha pastry that had a red bean in it as well. I have not heard from him how that was, but I was able to play it off like, oh yeah, I didn't mean apple pie, son. Voice to type issues. It came out. It should have been a green tea pastry. So listen, we're all here. Nathan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. Wow, man, it's a lot's been going on. My son was in baseball for a while. We were, doing that. Now we're prepping him for the next season because he wants to stay in it. He's 8, so for him it's a new and wondrous thing. So that's been fun. I've been studying my own Japanese as well, quite rigorously. I took the N5 test just to take it, and I did pass that, so that was great. So I'm targeting the N4 for the next one. I thought about being ambitious and going for N3, but I think that's just setting myself up for failure. So, but I think it would help me shoot further, right? I don't really care about the certificate as much as the progress that shooting for it gets me, I suppose. So we'll see, we'll see. But definitely on my Japanese journey, I'm very curious, Justin, who you're using for tutoring. If there's a certain service, if you're using like Itaki or something else, would love to know about that.
Yeah,
Out of
yeah, I could
curiosity.
definitely I could hook you up when we're off air here. Like I actually just ended up picking up. So I was taking classes as a semester before last at a community college because
Hmm.
I can do night classes, right? And then this, I guess, what would it be? Spring semester? It shows how old I
Mhm.
am. Spring semester, I was registered for classes again to take the next level. And there was only like one other student who I guess was interested in the time frame of it, that was interested in that level of Japanese. And so the college was like, yeah, there's, and that time frame, right? So the college looked
Right.
at it and went, okay, this class, we're not going to keep it. So we ended up contacting the professor and we're like, hey, will you just tutor us on the side?
Oh, so it's the professor.
Yeah,
That's super cool. That's
yeah,
awesome, man.
they're going through school right now. I'm not gonna say on air who it is because I have no
No,
idea,
yeah, yeah.
like, what the college rules are for them, tutoring us, but I'll hook you up afterwards. But, yeah,
Yeah,
so we
that'd be interesting.
we we just, got some lessons from that individual, and they are, like, N2 level. I mean, obviously, if they're teaching, they have pretty proficient Japanese, right? But they're getting ready to go over to Tokyo for, like, a doctorate level Japanese
Yeah.
program, so
That's super cool. Yeah, I have a local community college here. And throughout my learning, I decided to take classes there, and I took Japanese 1 and 2 there. And the professor just opened up Japanese 3. They'd been waiting to get enough people, and we're all waiting to find out, are there enough people to have the class? Because we're getting up to the higher levels. We're in a new book and all that. And
Yep.
I like it because with all the stuff going on in my life, it's hard for me to focus and get a schedule going. But if I have a class I have to attend and some homework I have to do, at the very least, it forces me to do some work. So we'll see. So let me know. Let me know. And then my next Japan trip is in November. Okay, and I am taking my family for this one. All my kids are going. Yeah, and my fourth kid over here, Justin, tag along.
Yeah. I
Outstanding,
gestured,
just that you're gonna
since
get
we're in
a
an audio format, just so everyone knows, I just gestured at myself.
Yeah,
Justin's like that T-shirt's on its way.
yeah. I'm really glad I bought the flights when I did because of everything that's been going on geopolitically. So very happy I did that early on, and I finally got all of our accommodations picked out, random little Airbnbs tucked away in random corners of cities because it's just more affordable that way, and it's nice. So now this is a kid's trip, right? I have to remind myself of this. I am not going for me exactly. I'm going to share this with my kids, but my kids want to do Disney and they want to do Universal and they want to do the Harry Potter stage tours and they want to do, you know, all kinds of various types of theme parks and more kid activities. And that's fine. That's great. I have to remind myself that after 5 shrines, they're just not going to care anymore. So, but yeah, it's good.
Are you
Definitely.
are you taking them to Sanrio Pearl Land?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Isn't that also where the Kanto Park is? The or no? I think
The po
so.
Um,
the Pokemons, I
Yeah, the
think so,
oh,
Pokemon park,
yeah.
I think, is also there.
I think that may be near there. Yeah,
It's
I did.
attached to it in the same, but I was thinking about it, but it's not officially on the list yet.
Yeah, it's I mean, if your kids have any interest in it, like, I would say it's worth it. I took my daughter there,
Mhm.
and like, even, like, the train station when you arrive there, the
Right,
train station is all Hello Kitty themed. It's got, like, Hello Kitty stained glass and all this stuff, and then, like, obviously, you get off at the train station, and you still have to walk, I'd say, I don't know,
right.
a quarter of a mile maybe to get to the actual
Okay.
theme park, and it's all Hello Kitty themed all the way there, so it's cool. It's worth
Nice.
checking out.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. I have one daughter who might be interested. She was into Hello Kitty for a while. I don't know if she still is. And I was wrong. It wasn't Puto Land that the Kanto Park was next to. It was the Yomiuri Land. So some similarities there. But anyways, yeah, yeah. So I'll check it out. Thank you. But that's yeah, life's been busy. Life's been busy.
You guys are making me, jealous in some ways with your Japanese studies. I'm trying to get my lanes for retirement. I have 8 years of classes left that I'm going to be taking, or not 8 years of class, but 8 years of teaching. And I need to get these 3 years and change of classes in before I can move the lanes I need to. That's when I will flip over and be tapping out my local community college as well for some Japanese and things. And I figure those last 4 years I can try to lean in heavy. And that's when I would love to just go to Hiroshima every summer and just live there instead of here and find a place that I can end up calling home, or Justin and Nathan's, like the bed and breakfast. I don't know what would you call it when you guys visit that.
I like it. Yeah, we'll have to do one of these all in Japanese. That's what we'll have to do.
Yeah, all in very broken Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I will say, Mike, that, like, as you kinda, like, talk about, like, reaching out to a community college, on my 2nd trip when I was taking my daughter to Japan, I wanted her to know a little bit of Japanese, right? Like, not a ton, but, like, just enough to maybe be able to say, like, "I'm lost," that kinda stuff, just kinda have, like, some pocket phrases, and, obviously, like, you can't at the time she was 12-year-old, obviously can't register for college classes, and so, you just gotta get creative, right? Like, I reached out to the community college, and I was like, "Hey," I just gave them the scoop. I was like, "I'm getting ready to go to Japan. I speak a little bit of Japanese. I would love to speak more. I'm taking my daughter. I would like for her to be able to speak a little bit. Like, do you have anyone who's available for tutoring?" And ended up with a tutor who has since moved to Japan that way as well. So, there's ways to make it work is I guess what I'm putting out there for anybody that listens and it's like, "Oh, I'd love to, but I work during these hours and I can't register for a class or, classes aren't financially attainable for me right now," or whatever the case may be. The tutoring was significantly cheaper than a class would have been. So, especially for two individuals because this just split the cost, right? So, there's definitely ways out there. You just got to get creative.
Love it,
Yeah.
buddy. And so we'll get there, my friends. We'll have the first, like good times episode that'll be, strictly in Japanese, maybe 5 minutes, but we will get there one day. The Koriwa Pendes. I don't
Yeah.
know, whatever you want it is.
Fascinating episode. They all introduced themselves a couple of
ポッドキャス
times.
トは5分だけ。5分だけ。
So, yeah, I've it is though. It's crazy. Like unless you have a schedule on things, it's easy to let things overwhelm. And I'm not exactly sure because this is the first class that I've done after my LBS one that I finished up, and taking a class at night and having to go and come back. And it's over the summer. I'm luckily it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I leave from my summer custodial job to shower, change, and then head off to go to my class that goes till 9 o'clock at night. And it's hard to find a bunch of other times. So I like that you guys have that. Thank you for coming prepared with all of those amazing things to share. It is greatly appreciated. Makes the show seem that much more official. And that is why, once again, we're being sponsored today by Premium Boss Coffee. I must say, I've had this for the first time, this version in the taller can. I've had the smaller ones, and I must say, maybe it's the bigger can that's doing it for me, but maybe a little more water, less coffee. I don't know, but this is fantastic so far. So, head out to your local Japanese mart and buy yourself some premium boss coffee. One day those residuals will come in, my friends, one day. But I did just last night after my daughter and I finished the Still Walking. I ended up rewatching Perfect Days and Not the Perfect Days LLC, and I feel I very much enjoyed the movie. I wanna own it eventually. I saw that like, there's a Blu-ray option for it, DVD, Blu-ray, but there's no 4K, and I'm trying to get some movies in 4K just because of how beautiful it looks on Apple or, like, streaming services where they have the 4K stream, and I would absolutely positively love to see this movie in 4K whenever I have, and not just, Blu-ray, if I'm gonna spend the money because it's not cheap, even the Blu-ray version of things. But does anyone, want to start us off as far as like, thoughts and things? And we're going to preface this, gentlemen, by saying there's no wrong answers for this. This is all our feelings, and we may agree, we may disagree, but at the end of the day, Nathan and I are getting shirts. So, you know,
What a good friend.
this is so good, so good.
I know. It's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll hop in, I guess. Like, I don't know how far I'll go with this. I don't want to monopolize anything, but you know, I actually just finished rewatching it myself on the car ride back from South Dakota yesterday, and you're right. It hits different the second time you see it, which is probably true of any movie. But uh, Mike, you and I had spoken quite a while back because I saw this movie when it originally released in the U.S. and I think it probably had a fairly small limited release. And I saw it like over Thanksgiving and didn't really like. I think the trailers. From what I saw, like the trailers almost made it seem like it was going to be sort of like I guess like a heartfelt dramedy for lack of a better way to put it, right? Like I expected it to kind of have like some like charming, like laugh out loud moments and everything. And what I feel like I experienced instead was this like fairly poignant movie that like kind of had, at least for me and my wife when we watched it, like had a tinge of sadness to it just because of some like personal like parallels that happen in the movie, and I don't know how much, we're gonna discuss it and spoil it, obviously, so I guess, if you're here and you're upset about spoilers, I don't know why you would be listening to this episode, but my wife lost her mom, like, on Thanksgiving a number of years ago, and so when we were there, it was like the anniversary of that, and then there's a loss that one of the characters in the movie experiences, and so it's just like, oh, this is heavier than I expected it to be. So watching it the second time, which is really all I've gotten to. This last watch was just the second one, but watching it that second time and having that knowledge that that was coming. It was like, okay, I'm at least I'm ready for it this time. So, and also watching it on my phone in the car driving down the highway where you've got wind noise and everything else too. It's sort of, I think, probably takes you out of the moment a little bit more. So it's like, all right, this doesn't hit quite as hard.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's funny because I did watch it last night. I fell asleep a little bit watching it because it was late, and so I rewatched parts that I missed this afternoon just so I was up. It was my second watch, but it was kind of funny because I've been doing more and more and more Japanese. We started watching it without any subtitles on, and my wife was like, "Is there subtitles for what they're saying?" Oh, my bad. I sort of half understood everything they were saying anyway. But yeah, I this movie I wanna say my first watch was I don't know, how do I mean, it really captured the essence of Japan, right? And the intricacies of the culture that we are really foreign to, and the second watch really made me realize that Japan being a monoculture and it's very difficult to be understood by even those of us who love it and have been there many times and have invested deeply into the culture and even have friends there and things like that. Like I understand it as if I read a manual, you know, but not that I designed it. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't have like there's still parts of it that I just don't understand at a deeper level. And this really reveals that, right? That as foreigners, it's very hard to like, oh, why don't you just do this, right? Like, why can't you just, And it doesn't always work that way. So yeah, very profound, I think. And I did think it was going to be more lighthearted than it was from the previews as well. But I really love the deep meaning that's in there. So
Mm.
And yeah, with his, I agree in those ways where it's like, the the actor, Shannon Gorman, and her character, Mia,
Mm.
the daughter, not daughter for Brendan Fraser, Philip in the movie, and that relationship right there, I could have watched just nothing but that, and the, crushing, like, things that happen later on, and, here's and it was for me, those relationships and things, and we could do, like, a spoiler section where we talk about, some things that happen a little bit later, where we can go into some more depth and things like that, but I think this is, like, the 4th time that I've watched the movie, and this time, for whatever reason, like, Brendan Fraser's character, man, he has a set of ideals that he lives by, for better or for worse, and he sticks to them, right? But this time going through, I was almost like, annoyed in like, in different parts of, like, his decisions or choices or, things that he's going through. Because like, in the, beginning where he's, supposed to take part in a wedding, right? And he's like, "Well, this is lying. I can't do this." But then a little bit later, he's able to have this amazing relationship with, Mia, his daughter. It's like not real daughter, but, like this acting thing that's here, and, kinda threw me. I almost need to watch it now like a 5th like 5th time just to see, but it was like, I don't know if it's because the number of times of watching this and the more you watch a movie, the more you become aware, but those, like, and I was trying to, like, balance this with myself. Is this just his ideals that he doesn't let go of? But he's been in Japan for 7 years, and he has that talk of, like, "I wanna, Japan's my home," right? And he's sitting in the bar talking to his colleague after he messes up after this wedding, and he goes, "I really wanna learn to understand that." But then he continues to be himself and do things that, like, almost no Japanese person would do. That was kinda like my takeaway this most recent time of watching it. Now I'll kick it over
Yeah.
from here.
It's interesting that you say that because I think, you know, there's probably, I mean, it's art, right? If you wanna call film art. And I think that, that means that there's obviously multiple interpretations and multiple ways that anyone could read it. And I think you're right. Like he's trying to like understand the culture, but obviously bringing his Americanisms into it and sort of like trying to like apply, I guess, his belief system on another culture, right? Which is like, obviously all the things that come along with that. But then like, I think as Americans we look at that and go, oh, that's, that nets out as bad, like always, right? It's never good. But what I think and I'm literally coming to this conclusion as I'm saying it. Like, I think what's interesting about that is the more Japanese literature I've read, particularly by female writers, like there really is, I think, a desire in modern Japan for some of these old ways of doing things to maybe not, to evolve, to not necessarily remain the way they've remained. But obviously because they make, you know, they make decisions as I'm saying this in air quotes, they make decisions as a culture so homogeneously that it's like, you know, I might feel that way. Nathan might feel that way. You might feel that way, but like none of us ever want to express it to the other one because we're, it's that like, oh, you don't rock the boat. Like, and so it's like we all kind of want this change, but we're a little bit afraid to communicate it with each other and get the boat pointed in the right direction and start paddling it that way. So to make a really bad metaphor, so it's interesting because I think you're right. Like he does do that a little bit, but I also think it's one of those things where it's like, well, some things probably do need to change, and there's probably people in Japan who would agree with that. And yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, I think I'm torn because I love the culture so much, but that doesn't mean there aren't negatives to the culture, right? There's negatives to every culture. So no matter how you might consider, well, look, be like the West. Well, the West isn't doing so great right now, perhaps. So, there's negatives to every culture. And there has been I've seen a lot of keep Japan Japanese, that slogan, right? Around right now. And including there was a push, and I don't remember who had made the initial comment that someone globally wanted Japan to start censoring or corralling anime artists because a lot of what they make isn't always appropriate for other countries because of the nature of anime. It's not meant for kids most of the time. It's meant for teens and adults, and it's definitely a medium that can really push the limits on some things. And the Japanese minister told them to shut up. This is Japan, right? I don't know if you guys saw that quote, that
Mhm.
what happened there. And so I don't disagree that there's obviously going to be either a minority or a majority, a subgroup of people that are feeling the weight of that culture, that pressure, obligation. But at the same time, I don't want Japan to become westernized. I want Japan to stay Japanese, and hopefully it grows and evolves in its own way. But I
Mm,
don't want this country to become like every other country. Like
yeah, for sure. And
it has its own identity, and I want that to remain.
yeah, and
So
just
it's
to
tough, right? I'm stuck there.
yeah, just to asterisk like what I was saying, like I 100% agree with you. Like I'm not saying that like they should do anything the way we do or that, our way is better. Like you said, we've got our own set of issues that we need to figure out, but when I when I read something that sort of hits on the fact that it's like, okay, like you said, these subgroups are like internally, like if somebody internally is saying, "Hey, this is an issue," it's like, okay, like then it probably is an issue that at least a part of the culture or a part of the population wants to change, and that's where I'm like, good for you, like whatever that means, right? Good for you, and like good luck and Godspeed and like making that change in whatever way that works for Japan. Like that's not up to me. I'm not
Right.
saying that they should do it an American way.
Oh, fair. Yeah, yeah. No, I gotcha.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like Brendan Fraser's, like Philip in his relationship with the, Hiko, like the Akira Imoto relationship, where he's interviewing this gentleman that it was a actor performance person and their relationship. And if it wasn't for Philip being Philip, you wouldn't have got the whole portion of things of this gentleman being able to go back to his home. Right. And because nobody would have done that. Right. They would have been
Yeah.
like, no, this guy's senile. We can't, we can't let him go off and
Well,
go find this box and
I
things.
mean, it
But
didn't turn out so great, to be fair.
no, that's true, that's true.
But yes.
Like, that's what the part of the relationships of things that I liked seeing, that I did get well with, and it's like so many people in this movie did such a wonderful job between, Eiko and the evolution of their role within the company, and not just being somebody that's rented out to pretend to be a girlfriend, or the mistress of somebody.
Mhm.
And then Shinji and his kind of evolution. And man, okay, we'll flip over here just a second here. We're gonna go into a spoiler section. So if you don't want the spoilers,
Yes.
now's a good time to end. But we're gonna move on because nothing says spoilers like
Yeah.
Kirin lemon sparkling water. It is refreshing and also 0 calories. So now that we have that also a non-paid endorsement out of the way, we can get into some, more spoiler portions of things. But I will say that the first time of watching it, his death, like even though you knew it was coming, was pretty darn, impactful after everything we had that evolution of that business and all of them showing up to try to save him. Like you said, Nathan, where it's like, man, this wasn't going to go well. You have some people from the place
Yeah.
pretending to be lawyers. You have Shinji pretending to be a police officer, and they're all like,
I
we are
mean, look,
all
when you've got a certain
screwed.
skill set,
That's
I
right.
think grifting just comes natural at that point, right? I mean, they've been doing it.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I wonder too, like to your point, like Nathan, and maybe this isn't maybe I'm misinterpreting what you were saying about it, like not necessarily ending that well, but you got movie timelines, right? And so like Philip takes Kiko out to, I guess, his hometown, and he ends up collapsing there. And then in sort of like a scene or two later, Kiku has passed away. And it's like, I guess I didn't necessarily read it as though it was the trip or the journey that caused him to pass away, right? Like
Right.
he was nearing the
Right.
end anyways. And so, you
Yes.
know, obviously I'm applying my Americanism to this, but it's like maybe Philip then gave him the ending that he wanted to have, right? Because he was able to
Right.
unearth those memories and see them and part with them one last time before he died.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I was being a little bit cheeky with the comment, but
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
because it's like, oh yeah, I did. The reality is Kikuo he wasn't in a great space to make those decisions, and I don't know if it was ever communicated to Philip properly that he's not to be making those kinds of decisions. So much he's she just your daughter just won't like it,
Hmm.
or it wasn't very clear how well informed he was. Uh, I think there's a lot of stories of people who are sort of at death's door, but they're holding on to something. And then when they finally get that last goodbye or they finally get that last resolution, they sort of allow themselves to go. And I kind of got that impression from him. He had this one anchor that was still tying him to earth, let's say. And when he finally got to dig that box up, that memory box, and spoiler alert, guys, sorry, this was warned, and and go through those memories, he was finally able to let go and have peace. And that's how I understood it.
I just wanted to say in the chat, Justin is Nathan, his award of being the most handsome man on this video call right now, video cast, is well earned. He ended up sharing with us 13 locations of rental family, and that could truly be its own episode right there. Just kind of going through. He has where different things that are here, some notes with those things. Man, Justin,
Yeah, I did some homework for you. I thought,
wow.
there's a subset of people out there, and Mike, I think you're one of them, who, you got that like kind of like movie nerd, like movie travel itinerary thing going on where it's like if you like a movie, you want to go see the places that 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 exist in that movie. And so I was like, you know what? What the heck? I'm going to start hunting for these places. So yeah, I think like most of the major locations should be on here. The one thing that's not on here are like any of the homes that they lived in. One, I don't know that those would be super easy to find, but then the other thing too was just, knowing that Japan is obviously like a country that, people value their privacy. I figured if we want to share this map, I'm not going to put people's homes on here or any residences like that where people have to, then have tourists sitting outside their windows trying to take pictures or anything like that. But yeah, all the major locations are in here, and it was kind of interesting finding them because we all know like movie magic, right? When you start thinking about it, it's like okay, these locations may not be anywhere near each other, but you kind of get the sense from the movie that everything sort of with with certain characters all kind of happens in like one neighborhood, like everything that Philip is doing with like Mia and Mia's mom would all kind of happen in one neighborhood. But, to look at these locations on the map, you see that it's a little bit spread out around Tokyo. And then just the movie magic of like creating the scene to get to Kiku's house. Same thing. It's like you would think it's like kind of like one straight shot. And there's a point where like they get to this train station by the sea, which I've got in the notes here, and then they hop on a ferry to presumably go to this like tiny island, right where his when he gets to his village, it's time has taken it over and like it's overgrown by plant life and everything. And to me, there's sort of this visual inference or this storytelling inference that's like, oh, this is on some like little island, right? It's like super remote. Nobody lives there anymore. But it's actually like they are on the same island, and I've forgotten the name of the island, but the same island that Fukuoka is on, which is I mean, is that even an island? I guess it's a relatively large island, if not. And so the train station's on one side of it, and they get on this ferry to go to his hometown, and it's really just it's still like you could get there by train or car. So it's like, just that movie magic of it. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And then like all the like his hometown, like it makes it look like they're walking through all of it. But the stuff I would say is like the tree, and there's a Shinto shrine that Philip says like, oh, Japan has more gods than vending machines. When they first start walking down the path, that it all makes it look like one path that's maybe, I don't know, a 10-minute walk, right? But they're on completely opposite sides of this I guess peninsula or smaller little bit of island or whatever. So it's kind of fun to like look at that and go, these things are nowhere near each other. So
I love it, my friend. I love it. And then I see like you have parks, we have shrines, we have stations, we have a river walk, we have 8 Days Cafe, the apology service slap. I think that was the last one that she did was no, that was the home. The home was when
yeah,
she was at the guy's person.
Yeah,
So,
the home was the last one, yeah.
and then the Okonomiyaki restaurant. We have some buildings. Oh man, this is just fantastic, buddy. Oh,
yeah.
and the restaurant, the Chinese restaurant. Oh man, I'm
You know which one I actually found like it took me the longest to find was when Philip meets Hitomi to discuss Mia's school interview. Like they're kind of like pre-gaming it, and she's telling him like these are the things you say. Don't ask this. The school doesn't want pressure,
Mm.
et cetera, et cetera. Like that's just a random courtyard at some building. So I had to really dig around to try to figure out like where is this like so. This
Was that the Makuhari one?
Yep. Yeah, that Mbei Point
That's
Makuhari
funny
building.
because Makuhari is where their convention center is at, and so any
Okay.
major well, it's one of the major convention centers. Star Wars, Celebration was there last year, so that was pretty cool.
Okay. And as I was looking for that one, and I found some stuff where like some music videos had been shot there,
Mm.
an artist I wasn't familiar with, and then I guess like there's an episode or two of Common Rider, I think that was shot there as well. So I was like, okay, like now I have some more hints. This place has got to be findable. So yeah, just kind of kept
what?
digging around Google Maps until I found it.
Well, Justin, I think we'll just have to. I don't want to go too far into that. You spent a lot of time on it, and I feel like this is another episode, my friend. I'm right now. I'm working on our next day trip episode. I've been trying to go through, but I'm looking at Chiba because I'm trying to do all the different baseball stadiums, and this is 35 minutes by train away from Tokyo. I need to definitely add some more to it, but maybe we can throw that in at some point in time, Justin. Maybe like that following day trip talk and just interrupt and kind of do even though it's not a day trip, there's already places to visit. Then we can maybe tack on our favorite hotels, in between those and have ourselves a competition with me, the unbiased judge. Loser gets to buy more shirts. So or scones, whatever it is, it's here. And we can go on. But I mean that is fantastic, my friend. Thank you again.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm always
Well,
game for more episodes and excuses to talk. So
that's right. It's just good. But
So
no, what I had to say. Sorry, Nathan. Go ahead.
no, no, I mean, I was just gonna interject about more about the movie, to be honest. I really just have been this has been a question on my mind just since I watched it the first time, and now I wanna know since we're here. Going back to the first time you saw the movie, Shinji, the twist at the end or near the end, and
hmm.
again, spoilers, I suppose if you're here, this is on you. You made your choice. So, the fact that his family is not his family, but just actors. One, I
Yes.
did not see that coming at all
Yeah.
when it did reveal on screen, and it I don't know, it left a profound impression on me, and even watching it the second time, that I'm still trying to figure out the psychology of it, the how did that hit you guys, and what do you think about it?
And Justin, I'll let you go first, my friend, if you want to, and then I'll kind of
Sure.
share my thoughts after.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one, I was, definitely as surprised by it. I think probably as you were. We definitely all got M nighted. But how did it hit me? I think that if I was going to sit here and try to analyze it, and I'm not a film major by any stretch of the imagination, but like I think it is sort of this way of like communicating to the viewer that like even this guy who seems like he's kind of got it all put together because really up until that point in the movie like that's sort of the impression you have of him, right? For better or worse, whether or not you like what he's doing, he seems as though he's kind of got it figured out. He's almost, for lack of a better way to put it, it's like he's almost God tier, right? These are the things that are missing in people's lives. And so we provide that service. And like, he just seems very level about it and almost like, I don't know that detached is the right word, but he's very well grounded. And to then find out that like he needs this service too, he's also missing things in his life. I guess it kind of like brings home that like, look, like everybody is human, everybody's looking for something, and that obviously for him it's that, finding a family or whatever and feeling like he has this family to go home to. So it was definitely an aha moment.
And for me, because there's Rental Family, right? And then there's Rental Family LLC, which was Japanese movie. And there's similarities definitely between the two movies with definitely some exceptions because it's similar in the fact that you both have these companies that people rent out to pretend to be a boyfriend or, girlfriend or, whatever it is here, but it's more focused on this one character. And in that movie, towards the end of Rental Family LLC, and again, I'll really quickly, if you haven't seen Family LLC, give me a couple minutes and skip along. Nathan, you can just cover your ears. But so in Rental Family LLC, at the end of the movie, he's there and he's outside this family's house. And you can hear some kids and you can hear a wife talking. And it's like that was his family, right? But it's no longer his family. And I kind of felt like Rental Family had that happening where it's he's there and, this isn't his family. They all get up and leave. And that was kind of like a little nod to Rental Family LLC and kind of both of those characters that were very similar in some regards, both not having that in their life. So I don't know if that was a nod or if there was something else, but that's kind of what I'd like to push to think that maybe it was,
Mhm.
you know. So, but yeah, that was
Wow. I did not know that there was an original film that this was based off of.
I don't I wanna say they share name, which is about as and then they share that there's a group of people within Japan that are rented out by others to do things, except in the Japanese version, there's no American, gaijin, guy,
Sure.
Brendan Fraser character, but there are definitely similarities between the
Interesting.
2,
Is it
but,
I've
largely, they're different movies, though.
I'm seeing a movie called Family Romance LLC, but
That's
not
what it is.
okay.
That's what it is, Nathan.
I was
That's why
like,
we
I
have you
can't find
along.
this thing called Rental Family LLC.
Family Romance LLC. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
but
fact
it
checking us the whole time. Thank you.
no, no, this is good. We want the audience to be able to find things.
We'll just blame it on Justin if it's not. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And
100%.
the
It's on me.
synopsis here on Rotten Tomatoes does say a man is hired to impersonate the missing father of a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely some strong parallels, and
Mhm.
it definitely feels like a fresh take, let's say.
Yeah.
And definitely adding the gaijin in there is going to be a real twist in terms of culture and interactions and create some of these situations that could not have been created before, I would imagine, and also maybe even allows for a different way of that profound connection. So I now have to go watch that one.
Yeah. Have you seen it before, Nathan, or no? You did not?
No, the family romance. No, I
Oh,
didn't know about it until just 5 minutes ago when you mentioned it.
see? Look at that. Look at that. I said, Justin, have you seen it?
I haven't. The closest I've come, I think, and I've mentioned this before, I think a couple of times now, is that book I've read called Mr. Kato Plays Family.
Yes, yes, yes. That's right.
And he's not, it's not the same thing. He's not playing the father figure for a 12-year-old girl, but it's this older guy who, he's basically just retired and like doesn't really know how to like have a relationship with his wife anymore, and like his kids have kind of moved on, and he doesn't really have a great relationship with them either. And I think without having seen Family Romance LL see. My guess is that the kind of the common through line in all of these is like you have this individual who, obviously anybody who's involved in the story, like something's kind of missing for them and they're trying to like fill that hole. But then like the main character that it focuses on is the same thing, right? It's this individual that like, they've got, like Philip, like there's this sadness that surrounds him, right? Which is just like, I mean, perfect casting for Brendan Fraser because it just feels like, that's sort of what's going on with that guy. And, hopefully that's not the case. And he's a happy guy, but like, he plays that part so well. And, as he's going through the movie in Philip, kind of playing these roles and figuring out like what's missing in his life, why it is that like, Japan doesn't feel like home to him, and feeling like he's not enough. Like he talks to, I think, Aiko at one point. They're in a bar, and he talks about like she asks if like would you ever use a service and who would you hire or like who would you have somebody play if you did, and he says his mom because he just wants to like be able to go back to a place where he feels like he's enough and he feels like he's not being judged. And you have this like conversation later in the movie where he's talking to Kiko, and it's that whole Japan has more gods than vending machines thing, and Kiko like tells him about the concept of 8 million gods and that God exists in everything. God exists in the trees and the forest and the rocks, and God even exists in you. And then with the way the movie ends, right? Like where that you get that reveal that like Philip is quite literally finally seeing that like like what's in the temple is basically me, right? Because he's seeing himself in the mirror. And it's like this realization that's like, okay, I've I've probably been enough all along, and kind of getting to like play these roles helps him get to a point where he can see that. And that was true of the book as well. I can't say that I know anything about the original Japanese movie, but
Hey, we could talk about that too, But no, it's worth your time. It's like I said, it's older. There's some parts of it that very much enjoy, and there's a little bit of the movie where there's a little bit of a drag to it, but still very much worth your time. If you can find a streaming service where you can, watch it for free because you have a 7-day free trial, just make sure to cancel that free trial. Don't get hooked. Don't get hooked and find out you've been spending $6 a month for Doki TV and you haven't watched it once. So not that but no, I'd say for everything that's here, my friends, as we're kind of wrapping our a little bit of our talk movie up here. Was there anything was your kind of like a favorite part? Anything for you that you liked the most, didn't like the most? Maybe is that a favorite, least favorite, whatever it is that's here that you might want to share before we thank each other and send Justin our shipping addresses. I'm still working. I will say briefly, I'm still working on these shirts. I spent $55 trying to get shirts to people, only to find out the services that I was going through didn't provide the shirt. And, you have to provide the shirt and they're like helping you sell stuff. And it was just this whole thing. So I got to find this like 24-hour tea, like where it's just a service where you send an image and they make you shirts and then I can get them to people. Nathan, I'll need your address too. And I'll kind of piece them out, but we can get our Scones Club, t-shirts that
Okay.
I kind of share some pictures with and stuff like that, kind of go from there. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, there's
Any,
some. I can throw you some resources after this for print on demand that's distributed, so it ships from the closest location and all that kind of stuff. So
okay.
I'll connect you with some of my own company's experiments of things and things I have found. Since I'm already talking, I guess I will just dive into answering your question. And weirdly enough, in a movie that was full of Japan, Brendan Fraser was one of my favorite parts. But and it's funny that I'm answering this way because Justin, you said you talked about the way that he showed that emotion, and you said, "Oh man, it really feels like he really feels this way, and I really hope he's not as sad as he seems to potentially portray." Right? There is a movie, I believe it was called Gods and Monsters, that Brendan Fraser was in, and he was in it with Ian McKellen. And I saw this interview a while back, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen this interview where Ian McKellen is asked, This is like in 1998. And Ian McKellen is asked, like, where do you as an actor need to grow? And he answers, to be more like Brendan Fraser. And the interviewer's like, wait, hold on. Like he like stops him as he keeps talking. Brendan Fraser? He says that most actors, when they're acting, you can see that they're acting only because the emotion processes differently because they know the line that's coming next. They know the thing that's coming next. But he says that Brendan Fraser has this ability of what he kind of called naturalism. And I don't remember word for word what he said, but where you can see the gears in his head turning as if he's truly processing the things that are going on screen, and that he can portray such a natural acting behavior that it doesn't look like acting. In fact, to Ian McKellen, it's not even acting. He's truly is experiencing these things. And I went into this movie after I just saw that interview. And so I was watching him carefully, and I absolutely thought he did a phenomenal job. And I love Japan, and I love, of course, love the fact that this movie takes place there and all the little intricacies of culture and all the stuff. But honestly, he was my favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, come a long way from Encino Man, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Man, I think to give an answer that is maybe close to yours, but ever like, but I think also just it's a different flavor of cooked with the same ingredients. I think my favorite part of the movie was just the relationship between Brendan Fraser's character and I forgot her first name, but Gorman, the Mia and Philip. I mean, I'm as a parent, like, it's just always going to be a sucker for like a dad or a dad figure, like trying desperately to like connect with his kids and have like these deep meaningful connections and relationship and everything else and like that parental guilt too of like not wanting to let the kid down and trying to be there for the kid and everything else. So that was like I said, like when when I went into this movie the first time, it was like it was heavier than I expected, and for me, it was heavy for that reason. And then it got heavy for my wife because of Kiko's character, and then that made that heavy for me as well. So it sounds like I'm warning people away from the movie when I say this stuff, but it's like it's such a great movie. It just had a lot heavier emotion than what I expected it to, based off of the way they marketed it.
Yeah.
100%
Yeah,
with
no,
that
that makes
marketing.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the humanness of relationships, right? And that even like as they were coming to rescue him from the police and they're playing all these different roles, you really see them as a family in that moment, the company, right? So it's sort of this inception of family inside of family and all this weaving of relationships. And so it's that that idea, we have the phrase that blood is thicker than water, right? But that's actually backwards from the original intent. I don't know if you know this. We say blood is thicker than water, but that means like family is everything, right? But actually, the original was that the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning that the blood of it's your choice, the covenant, your friends, or the people you choose to align yourself with or to become family with is stronger than just who you happen to be born to, right? And that really is exemplified by this film.
And I'll say, I guess for me, kind of piggyback, which you gentlemen have been saying, which is, really Japan is secondary through this movie. And I think that says everything that you need to know about this. You have, three individuals that love Japan. And you'd think if we are going to focus in on something, it would be everything that was Japan in this movie. And that was very much a secondary to the different performances done by everyone. And I'd say everyone that was whoever cast this movie, like kudos to you for coming up with all of this. And if you've listened to all of this to this point and have yet to see the movie, do yourself a favor and see it. And if you happen to have connections in the movie industry and can get a 4K release instead of just porting it to the digital streaming services, I would much appreciate that. You could be an honorary Golden Scone club member. We'll talk about the tiers of this the Scone clubs, for future things. But gentlemen, I know we've been setting this aside to get together and talk, and Nathan and Justin, Man, I love whenever we get together and get to hang out and geek out about Japan because it's my photography class that I'm going through. I got a couple people from the photography class that you're talking to. It's nice to geek out about what you're into. And anytime we can do that, I am happy to do it with you. And thank you again for setting aside your time.
Yeah,
And
always happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, I said on behalf of Lost Without Japan and its entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on board again for our next regularly scheduled episode as we continue our discussion on Japan, travel, culture, and your Lost Without moments. Don't forget to put Justin Owes Me a t shirt into the discount code for our site to help get you a discount on your shirt as well. To everyone out there, all ginky day, stay well, my friends.